Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. And today my video is me making a video recipe. Yeah, a very cool thing. It's, well, basically you're seeing behind the scenes of what I get up to. Please subscribe and please share. And do check out the description below, as there may be things down below that may interest you. And now we'll get right on with the video. The first things in making a video recipe is finding the recipe. Particularly for this particular example, I'm going through my book. I'm used just a straightforward cookery book of baking. And there we go. For this one, I've decided to go straight for your straightforward classic carrot cake. It just makes it easier for you guys to follow. Now I'm in the bakery. I've got my recipe all set out. And now what I'm doing is filming the first part, which is actually the ingredients. Now up in the corner of the screen, that is what you are seeing is finished.
50 grams of butter, 50 grams of soft cheese.
And then once I've done this, I've got to check through and run through that scene again just to make sure I've actually physically got everything in it and I haven't made any mistakes in the recipe, because it's so easy to get your grams mixed up. Once I'm happy with that, then I'll move on to the next scene. So this is obviously making the cake itself.
Butter and your cream cheese into the bowl.
And again up in the corner there, that's what you see as the finished item.
This is just to remove any bits and pieces that actually are lying around. Lumps and bumps. Adding the lemon juice. And now we're going to pop this on.
As you can see, it's not just a matter of now I've got to move the camera around as well. So you also want to see inside the bowl. So it's no trickery with special effects. It's just me and a camera. And once again, though I've carried on and made the rest of the video, now this is the end, obviously the end of the video, because everything else is exactly the same all the way through. And this is just the finishing touch. This is actually, I've made the recipe, I've baked it, I've prepared it, I've iced it, and now this is cutting up. And this is actually the end of this particular part of the video. So once I've actually physically done this, I then have to recheck it through again to make sure it's okay, and then taking photographs. And this is what I'm doing now, is taking photographs of the product and videoing it at the same time. Again, we're going through, checking it. And once I'm happy, photograph. And then we're straight back to the computer. So we've now got all those files. And now what I'm going to do, guys, I've got to get the files off the computer. So I'm basically importing the finished files. And there we go, that's all the files. Now all I'm going to do is collect them all up and move them into my editing suite, which in this I'm actually using Filmora 9. Then what we do is we pick up a section and move it into the timeline. at this part, then I work out what I don't want, cut it again, as you can see, I'm just listening to what I'm saying, and there's me cut coming in. Yeah, we've cut it now, so we'll move that out of the way. Move along, we're going to be putting another cut in shortly. So we're moving along the timeline, right, and this is where the ingredients are. So smack a cut in there, I believe. Move that out of the way. It's all painstaking, and that's the end of the video over here. You see I'm doing some cuts. Because the thing is, you don't want too much of the same old thing. So I might have done in equivalent to 4 hours filming, but we only want three or 4 minutes of it, if that. Once again, I'm going through cutting up myself. This is all painstaking. It's probably one of the jobs that you have to think about, not just filming, but editing is also that thing that really sort of, you got to check it through over and over. You don't want it to be boring, and because a lot of videos can just be boring, and it's just the way we got to do things. Right, and there's my timeline finished. So I'm just going to check that all the way through. And once I'm happy with it, I'm now adding some effect, or I may be adding some music. Looking at, I'm just adding the end bits. So I'm just checking through as well at the same time. Cutting, we don't want that, get rid of that. Now, because I've done a little bit talking, oh, there's a large gap there, so we get rid of that. Again, there's a gap here. That's it, throw that out. The only thing with these cuts, they do make me look as though I'm jumping about all over the place. So I try to not do too many cuts. Or I try to stay in one position so it don't look that bad. And there we go, we're almost finished. And there we go. The cut of end bits to put in. And there we go. And now I'm putting some titles. I'm checking through as well. And once I've done that, I import that to the finalization. And now moving on to the next part of the job is typing up the recipe, which is an entertaining job in its own right. Because once again, I have to check the recipe I've got against what I've done. So the recipe is almost the same as the video. In most cases, I've done my own interpretation of a recipe, and then I come to the typing up and I have to then write what I did. And in most cases, if it's from a book like this is simple because I've basically probably done it the same way with a slight movement on the way it's been done. But it just makes it look right. And then once I've done it, I've got to check through to make sure I haven't made any mistakes, which often not I do. And it's not until I get it all done and dusted and then I realise, oh damn, there's a mistake. And it could just be a weight. Well, that's a lot of good to you guys, because if I've done a mistake and you make a mistake, it's my fault that you've made a mistake. So I have to make sure I've double checked. And once that's all been done, we can add that all to YouTube and finish the job off completely. Guys, It's as simple as that. Now you can see how long it takes me to do a video recipe. The problem is it does take an awful long time. It's across a week, it usually takes me around about 4 days, and even just making the recipe itself without any cameras, you got your time. It's usually two hours to make one recipe. Then you can see you've got the filming, which then adds to it. So that one film could take 6 hours just to do the filming, depending on what recipe I'm doing. Now, as for editing, that's another story of its own. As you've seen me there, I'm working on Filmora 9, which is a really good editing bit of kit, which you do pay for. And making videos isn't cheap, because there's always something else you think you need. And like for me, now I've moved up a notch a little bit. I've brought in lighting, and I'm slowly getting myself where I need to be. You know, the idea wasn't to start a YouTube channel and go out, bang a video out, spend a shed full of money making that video. What's the point? You know, let's start off scaled down. So 2 years ago, when I loaded my first YouTube channel video, it was, to me, was not that good. But there again, I wasn't making it for YouTube, I was making it for Facebook, just to show people what I do in the bakery. And it's not really, you know, I've moved on since there, 2 years, and I've sort of like scaled up a little bit myself, got a bit more. As someone said, they're not sure whether they like this new professional bit, because they think I'm sounding a bit posh, but I don't know what they're talking about. Gloucestershire, talking posh? No way. Anyway, please subscribe and please share, and we'll see you again very shortly. Laters!